Hello, everybody. Welcome back to The Void. I'm Player One, and welcome back to Silent Hill, the play novel. Last time we started this very weird thing, and we have made it up to the Rusty School. Man, I got up here in about 30 minutes. This game might actually take a while. I didn't think this would take that long, but it looks like it just might. Now again, don't know what this is. It's Silent Hill 1, but a visual novel. And that's about it so far. One thing I did notice as I was researching, this is not canon, because there's just no way it would be. There are multiple, way multiple endings. And I think, Team Silent didn't even know this was happening. I think just a completely separate team made this. Which makes sense. The more I find out about this game, the weirder it becomes. But anyway, let's just, get right back into it. The school building has dramatically changed. Metal-grated floors, blood-covered walls, corpse-like puppets hanging everywhere. It's like a nightmarish scene in which everything is isolated from the real world. In spite of that, I run. I am searching for Cheryl. The unpleasant metallic sounds of my footsteps resonate throughout the inside of the school. And then I open the door to the teacher's room. Perhaps the door is not installed correctly, as it took me several forceful tries to force it open. Once I enter the room, I am shocked. Desks are strewn about, and a raw, rotten stench rules the room. I call the police, or call home where no one should be. Alright, well now we're getting into stuff that literally just did not happen in the game, so I'm not sure what the correct option here would be. Why would I call home where there should be no one? I guess I'd call the police. I mean, Sybil's here, so this is at least a more thoughtful option. With slight hope, I pick up the telephone receiver. Just as I had guessed, the depressing busy signal just repeats over and over. As I gently hang up the telephone receiver, I realize that all means for contacting the outside would have already been lost. I must find Cheryl right away, and escape from this insane world with her. I begin to leave the room. My heart rapidly contracts. The mechanical bell sound echoes throughout the room. I nervously approach the telephone, and once again pick up the receiver.
Daddy, help me.
It's Cheryl. There is no mistaking it. I firmly press the receiver against my ear.
Daddy, where are you?
Cheryl? Is this Cheryl? At that moment, Cheryl's voice is replaced with a busy signal. I knew it, I think. Cheryl is here. Being located in the residential area, many children probably come to this school. The interior of the elementary school is larger than I imagined. Including classrooms, there are a lot of rooms, so locating Cheryl will be extremely difficult. If Cheryl wasn't brought here by someone and instead came here of her own free will, then perhaps she might be in that one room. That one room? I spin around, run to the stairs at the end of the hall, and then sprint up them. I have come to the library, and my eyes are drawn to the open book here. It was... Oh. Another 3 options. Children's book, pharmaceutical book, religious science. Wasn't it a children's book about the boss? About the nasty lizard thing? I think it was. I pick up the book and see an abstract illustration of a youth carrying a bow and arrow on its cover. Someone has been reading this book. I begin to read the book from the beginning of the page it was left open to in a quiet voice. Hearing this, the hunter armed with bow and arrow said, "I will kill the lizard." But upon meeting his opponent, he held back, taunting, "Who's afraid of a reptile?" At this, the furious lizard hissed, "I'll swallow you up in a single bite." Then the huge creature attacked, jaws opened wide. This was what the man wanted. Calmly drawing his bow, he shot into the lizard's gaping mouth. Effortlessly, the arrow flew, piercing the defenseless maw, and the lizard fell down dead. This is from an old fairy tale. I remember reading it as a kid. As I say this, I take a step back as if I had realized something. Wait, I think. I become gripped with the sense that my actions have been controlled by someone this entire time. Coming to the library, seeing that specific page in the open book, even whatever it is that I must do now, it is a decision that is out of my hands. Okay, Harry, I don't know why you're getting all fourth wall on me right now. I'm just trying to follow the story that was in the game. I don't know what you doing here. Everything that has happened has been in someone's hands. I have gradually come to understand this. Even still, I probably cannot determine my own course. I accept the direction of the unseen one, to whom I must obey. In order to find Cheryl, there is no other alternative. Okay. I now know where it is I need to go. As I journey there, I walk firmly, stepping forward one step at a time. I descend a staircase from which uncomfortably warm air flows and find an elevator at its base that invites me to descend even further, as its doors slowly open. Once I enter, its doors close, and in the next moment, with a rusty clunk sound, the elevator begins to descend at a high rate of speed. Just how far down is it going? All I can do is go with the flow. Oh? Gradually, the elevator and I are enveloped in hot, humid air. The elevator stops, and I step off as its doors open. Beyond a short passage, a dazzling light emitted from a small room. A small room which has been waiting for my arrival. Oh my god, there it is. In the center, the fires of hell burned, and everything made it look like this room was meant for prayer. And then it was there. It slowly moved around the enormous sconce from which flames and ash rose. The lizard looks to have suddenly mutated. Its outer shell is a mucous membrane type. It just stares at me, and with surprisingly comfortable speed, it looks for a chance to attack. Wait, Harry, no, you're a fucking moron. You forgot to get the shotgun. Here. Yeah, so fire the gun at it. No, that's not what you do. You have to wait for it to open its mouth. But I'm no match for this enemy with the weapons I'm carrying. Running is the best bet. I guess so. He never picked up the shotgun. I was overwhelmed by its size. I've got to escape. I don't stand a chance with the feeble weapon in my pocket. I look for an escape route. However, the entrance I came through is now closed by a thick solid metal fence, without any opening which I could slide through. I cannot escape. At that moment, a part of my memory was suddenly awakened. Definitely. In the library, now he's gonna remember the book that he just read? I remember. That book I just picked up not too long ago. Its contents run about in my head. While paying very close attention to the movements of my opponent, I recall its passages. Effortlessly, the arrow flew, piercing the defenseless maw, and the lizard fell down dead. All I can do is draw my opponent closer. Each bullet that hits its body only seems to increase its strength. I am running. My entire body is soaked in sweat. The heat from the flames and the large amount of perspiration are working together to rob me of my emotional strength. And then my feet finally get tangled and I fall to the bone-dry floor with a thud. Brother. Ew! My supply of bullets is running out. This is my limit. I turn around. Its enormous mouth is there, measuring about 4 meters and open in all directions. It was only for an instant, but I thought of that passage again. The arrow flew, piercing the defenseless maw. Okay. You would be very dumb if you picked this option. Fire into its mouth. I can no longer hesitate. I readied the gun as calmly as possible, aimed at the inside of its mouth, and quickly pulled the trigger. Over and over, the sound of gunshots rang out from my weapon for as long as I had ammunition. And then I lost consciousness. Okay. When I came to, I found myself in the middle of a dark room. Where is this? I wondered to myself. The monster from before has vanished. I heavily stood up and then waited motionless for a bit until my eyes came into focus. Somehow this looks to be the boiler room. It is oddly quiet. Maybe I was dreaming? My very exhausted body seems to have also recovered somehow. The low hum of the boilers strangely calms my nerves. And then I sense the presence of a person, and I shift my gaze. Whoa. There was a girl standing there. She was wearing dark blue clothing, and her light brown hair was neatly combed. The girl was just staring right at me. Once I noticed her and began to step towards her, she completely disappeared, as if her body just dissolved into the air in the room. I was alone in the room again. What was that? A strange feeling of relief after standing for a bit, I let out a long breath and then placed my hand on the door to the entrance. Sunlight is shining into the hall of the school building. As usual, the snow is still outside, but I am gripped with a strange feeling of relief, as if cancerous cells had just been removed from me. Okay, that's a descriptor. Filled with relief, I slowly walk toward the exit of the school building, and then I learn that Cheryl is not here, from the loud sound of the church bells that seem to call out to me. I begin to run toward the church on a road half covered in mud. Snow falls above my head, some of which freezes my hair as chilly air flows by. When I reach the church, I push open the heavy door without hesitation. Oh no, there she is, the nasty. A cross is mounted on the front wall. Long benches are lined up on both sides of a small walkway. It was as if time had stopped for this familiar-style church. In front of the altar, a sly-looking woman with cold eyes looks down at me with an eerie grin. As I walked up to her, stepping one step at a time, she gazed at me without blinking. She looked as if she had predicted that I would arrive. Were you ringing that bell? The woman snorted with a hump. I've been expecting you. It was foretold by gyromancy. What are you talking about? I knew you'd come. You want the girl, right? The girl? You're talking about Cheryl? My eyes grew wide. I see everything. You know something? Tell me. Stay back. The woman held the palm of her hand out at me and then lowered her chin in a way that suggested, please calm down. Nothing is to be gained by floundering about at random. You must follow the path of the hermit, concealed by flowers. What? What are you talking about? I asked once more, without hiding my bewilderment. Here, the flowers, a cage of peace. It can break through the walls of darkness and counteract the wrath of the underworld. These will help you. Make haste to the hospital before it's too late. The woman held up a strange object and then softly placed it on the desk on top of the altar. Wait! Don't go yet. I will. Leave? Her story was unclear and I don't understand it. I cannot just carelessly believe her. Well, I think we ended up doing what she asked, so I guess believe. She lives here. I choose to believe her story without objection. All that remains in the church is the reverberations of the sound of a door closing. I go after that woman. I am convinced that that woman definitely knows some secret of some sort. However, the knob on the door that she went through will not turn at all. It must be locked from the other side. Damn. Now I am the only one left in the church. Almost as if taken from a nightmare, this space has heat. This warmth feels like it is protecting me from something. That is the best way to describe the heat. I move away from the door and begin walking to the altar that woman was at. The object that the woman was just holding has been placed there. The flowers. That is certainly what that woman had called this. I try picking it up. and then I place it back on top of the desk right away. It is power. The overwhelming power of the gods rests inside this four-sided object. It was a sensation like an electrical current passing into the palm of my hand, and then power moving throughout every nook and cranny in my body. I pick it up once more. This time I calmly take it into my hand and then place it in my pocket. For some reason, I am convinced that this object will help me find Cheryl. I pick up the key that was next to the flowers, open the door of the church, and rush out into the heatless snow world again. Hospital? That woman certainly said something about one. Alchemia? How do you say that? I'm gonna go with Alchemilla. The only hospital I could find on the map was that one. I could see my breath as I exhaled while I headed toward the entertainment district. The bridge to the entertainment district has been raised so that boats can pass by it in the river below. In other words, it is split in the middle and is fixed in a raised position that makes it look like the Japanese katakana character. I enter the nearby drawbridge control room. Why did Harry go on that tangent? He's not Japanese. I don't think he'd know that. Place the key I was holding into the control panel and forcefully turn it to the right. While emitting a sound like an old woman laughing, the bridge finally begins to lower, inviting me to the entertainment district. After crossing the bridge, I shudder. The temperature is gradually declining, or maybe it was just a result of the thing inside me that produces nervousness and fear. On this wide road, there is not a single motorcycle running. I am running right down the center of it. If I continue toward Alchemilla Hospital, it should be on the right. And there it is. An old building appears in the thick fog. On the signboard, Alchemilla appears in faded letters. Its eeriness caused me to hesitate for an instant, but in the next moment, I placed my hand on the cold gate. I opened the heavy hospital gate, and then opened the door directly to my right that has entrance written on it. The inside of the hospital is wrapped in silence. To the left, there is a reception area, in which various papers are neatly placed on a shelf. Waiting benches are lined up along the backs of this hall, and a television is pointed at them. I do not feel the presence of any patients, or even any people. Only faint light pours in through the windows from the cloudy sky. The hall is filled with a trace scent of alcohol, which penetrates my nose. I begin walking. After passing through the waiting room, I reach a long corridor. I open the door marked examination room. Oh! That came out of nowhere. At almost the exact same time as I opened the door, a man inside jumped out of his chair. He is holding a handgun in his right hand. I hid behind the door, immediately counterattack. I mean, that's Kaufman. I'm just gonna hide behind the door. Wait! I hold my right hand out to try and stop the man. Hold it. Stop. Don't shoot. Wait. I'm not here to fight. The man calms down and lowers his readied right arm. My name is Harry Mason. I'm in town on vacation. I said all of this without pausing, and then the man took a deep breath and began to speak. Thank God, another human being. Do you work here? I was truly relieved. Silent Hill, which has become a habitat for strange monsters. Those words showed his candid questioning of the situation. I'm Dr. Michael Kaufman. I work at this hospital. So maybe you can tell me what's going on? That man who called himself Kaufman once again stirs in the chair he is sitting in. I really can't say. I was taking a nap in the staff room. When I woke up, it was like this. Everyone seems to have disappeared, and it's snowing out. This time of year. He looks off at the floor of the examination room. There on the floor, the corpse of a still warm monster lay on its side. Something's gone seriously wrong. Did you see those monsters? Have you ever seen such aberrations? Ever even heard of such things? You and I both know creatures like that don't exist. Yeah. And then I turned to face him as I realized something. Have you seen a little girl anywhere? I'm looking for my daughter. She's only 7, short, black hair. She's missing. I'm sorry. With all those monsters around, I highly doubt that she's... Sorry, I didn't mean to alarm you. Your wife, she's here with you? She died 4 years ago. Now it's just me and my daughter. I see. I'm sorry. Well, I'd better be going. I can't just sit around here doing nothing. So long. Good luck out there. Bang. The examination room door shuts powerlessly. Dr. Michael Kaufman. Oddly enough, I have completely memorized that name. Huh? I suddenly notice that there is something on the floor that looks like a white scrap of paper. What is this? I pick it up. Letters have been disorderly scribbled on it. Arrival tomorrow morning. Be prepared. What is this? Check to see if there's anything else. Go after Kaufman. I believe this room. We want to see if there's anything else. I carefully look around on the floor, but it doesn't appear that anything else interesting has been dropped. I look all around the examination room. Up until a short time ago, this was just a normal room in a hospital, with its various instruments and tools all about, each aptly arranged per function. Only people have been erased from this normal scene, making the situation unnatural. I leave the examination room. Well, damn, I guess it wasn't that room. I pass through the medicine room and reach a planked floor corridor that silently extends into an L shape. I moved forward and found that there was an elevator with a large door at the end of the corridor. I try pressing the buttons beside it. Nothing happens. It looks like the power is off. There are several doors in the corridor. I begin opening each one in order. I open the door marked meeting room, head inside and close the door behind me. A large table rests in the center of this room, and I notice that there is something glittering on top of it. I grasp the light green key, leave the room, and once again step into the chilly corridor. The next room looks to be the kitchen. I guess that the food for patients is probably prepared here. Various bronze cooking utensils are neatly arranged in order on the stainless steel countertop. It does not appear that anything terribly important is here. I carefully look through the various cooking utensils. Inside a large pot, there is nothing at all. While continuing to search to see if there might be some clue here or not, I notice that on the far wall, various objects have been scattered about. I carefully move forward on the wet floor as not to slip. Something is there. I reach out my hand towards the thing in front of me. Kitchen knife? Pet bottle? Oh wait, I think this is a Japanese thing. I think for some reason they call water bottles pet bottles. I'm not entirely sure, but I don't think I need a water bottle, so I'm gonna take the knife. I picked up a knife that appears to be for kitchen use. Perhaps this will come in handy for something. I only have a limited number of bullets. When the time comes, I might be able to use this as a weapon. I left the kitchen. I crept out into the corridor once more and stood in front of the door that was closest to the elevator. I opened the door, and the reverberations of the sounds of it opening and then closing shake my eardrums. The walls are made of concrete, and a few steps in, a staircase leading to the basement extends like the folds inside the body of a snake. What? Okay. It is dark and difficult to see, but it looks like there is a door at the bottom of the staircase. Be brave, I mutter to myself. Leaving only the echoes of my footsteps, I descend the staircase to hell, one step at a time. And then I open the door leading to darkness. I could see that the electricity was most likely out in the entire hospital. I pressed the switch on my flashlight on my chest and tried lighting the area. It is creepy, and yet there is nothing noticeably out of place. Chilly air drifts from the cold concrete, and it seems as if touching it would completely rob my body of its warmth. While moving through the corridor, I try opening the doors as I come to them. Of them, one opens with a creak. Emergency generator is written on the machine that occupies most of the room. To reach the second floor and above it did not look like there was any method other than using the elevator, so without hesitation, I turn the machine on. I immediately head for the elevator. I press the up button. The heavy sound of the motor and the sounds of metal parts coming into contact with each other almost sound like intertwined screams. With a ding, the elevator stops and its doors slowly open. The inside of the elevator is large. It seems to be about big enough to accept 3 hospital beds. Buttons for each floor are lined up to the right of the elevator door. They are marked 3, 2, 1, and B from the top down. First, I head to the second floor. However, after I step off the elevator, I find that the door connected to the corridor that leads to the rooms on this floor is locked. With no alternative, I try heading to the third floor, but I find that it is in the same state. Well, what now? I've already tried moving to every floor. With nothing else to do, I re-enter the elevator, and then could not believe my eyes. Of the buttons for each floor, 3 was definitely the highest floor just before. In spite of that, a new 4 button has been added. Well, it blinked away in the picture, but... The elevator doors open with a familiar sound, and I step out onto the 4th floor. Again, I think? A condition extremely similar to that which I encountered after passing through the basement in the clock tower at the elementary school was present right in front of me. Dark red rusted walls, metal grated floors, and a ringing in my ears that seems to creep up from the depths of hell is a menace to my mental state. I open the door in front of me and a long corridor extends beyond it. I very carefully move forward while keeping my eyes fixed on the wall. Could Cheryl be here? The only way to find out is to search this place. Huh. I can hear something in the darkness in front of me. It sounds like the groan of something dragging on the ground. The owner of that groan is slowly closing in on me, but I cannot see what it is for sure with the faint light of my flashlight. I instantly ready my gun, leave this area. Well, that's also the radio static, so that's gonna be a nasty. And I think we have to progress on the 4th floor, so ready my gun. It is probably not human. I firmly grip the gun, position my finger on the trigger, and begin to walk towards it with the gun ready beside my safe face. Eventually, something white entered my field of vision. I just aimed the flashlight on my chest with my hand in sight line on it. A white figure appeared, and just stooped over like an old woman. It looked to have undergone a grotesque change.
Ew.
The monster has a very large hump on its back, which twitches and moves as if it were alive. In one hand, it holds a knife, which it waves as it approaches me. In the instant I readied my gun, the monster began to run. By the time I realized this, it slashed at me. I instantly dodged the attack, and thanks to that my clothes were slashed and I had only a scratch in my side. I suppose I was lucky. Damn! I kick it in the face with the bottom of my shoe, and it falls down on its back. It then begins to stand for its next attack. I close my left eye and steady my aim. Even after one shot hits its movement, it does not change at all. I fire more bullets at it. It is laughing. In a voice great enough to shake the entire world, it laughs as its face twists and distorts. I cannot give up. When the final bullet loaded into my gun hits, it finally stops laughing. This time it is face down, and I begin crushing it with my foot. Finally, it completely stops moving. This is insane. Another monster approaches from behind the corpse of the first one. At this rate, all the bullets in the world would not be enough. All I can do is run. Run past the monster in front of me, run past the monster behind me. Well, I would assume we want to go forward. I begin to run towards the monster in front of me. Evading the large swings of its knife, I run down the dark corridor, occasionally stumbling. I see a staircase leading down. I race down it, knowing not whether if something is waiting for me or not at its base. I am thinking about Cheryl. Even if she is held prisoner somewhere in this hospital, there's no guarantee that I can rescue her. Or rescue here. In fact, there is no reason that the staircase I am descending should lead me to Cheryl. I begin to think that all of my current actions are all meaningless. However, generally speaking, since I arrived in Silent Hill, no. Since the day before leaving for Silent Hill, no. Even longer ago, since the day I met Cheryl, perhaps I have had no choice in my actions. They have been determined by someone else's will. What is Guy talking about? As I continue to the base of the stairs, I contemplate, what if my life up to this point had just been on one track? As I descend the stairs, my ears began ringing again. The ringing is so forceful that it cannot even be compared to before, and it forces me to squat down. What in the world has happened? Perhaps I have opened a door to hell, a door that should never be opened. Something is clearly changing, and it is for the worse. Going back will not be permitted. I must move forward. Forward. I put my hands together on my head and then squeeze my temples tightly by using my elbows. The The ringing then begins to sound like a demon is whispering in my ears. However, it doesn't stop. I blindly begin to run. Even if I am to die in this mad land, I must save my beloved Cheryl first. Believing that the answers are beyond the door, I know that I must discover at least one clue. Several overlapping square figures are shaking in time with the sound of my heart. It is the wall at the end of the area. Another wall lies perpendicular to it. There is a door present on this wall, with a plate on it that says storehouse. Some chemicals have been placed on the table that is next to the door. There are 3 beakers of different sizes and a test tube. The test tube contains a liquid that is of a different color to that which is the leftmost beaker. I found a memo. To create it, you must come up with 1 deciliter of liquid and pour it into the test tube. No more or no less, that man had said. But there are no graduations on the beakers. This makes it impossible to come up with 1 deciliter using these 3 large beakers. Okay, finally another puzzle. Here we go. Select a beaker that contains liquid, confirm, then choose the beaker that you wish to move the liquid to, and press it. Okay. Using the 10 deciliter, 7 deciliter, and 5 deciliter, you must create an amount of exactly 1 deciliter. The door won't budge an inch. Okay. Ooh. Well, that graphic looks a bit wrong. But hey. Okay. I've dealt with a couple of these puzzles before. Thank you, Professor Layton. Now I just have to remember how to do this. Hmm. 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 Oh! I found a part that wasn't translated. Oh boy. Three. Hmm. Damn. Yeah, just reset it. Okay. 5 and 5. I know this is not complicated. I know this is not hard. I'm just having a brain moment. Okay, I think I'm close. I think I'm close. Okay. 8. And then 3, 4, 5, 6, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 5. Three. Wait. Damn it. Okay. I have it now. I had to do this, and then 8 into the 7, so now we have 1. Got it. There we go. Yeah, that was a good puzzle. What the fuck? Why was that not translated? Oh no. Harry melted the chain on the door with the completed liquid. The door slowly opens with a click. There we go. Alright. And I think I will end it there. good progress into the hospital. We did another puzzle. Very good, very good. I definitely think the game will get more interesting once we deviate from the regular path. But of course, I'm just going to get the regular ending first, because that's the one I know how to get. Yeah, so far, pretty good. Hour into the game, we've had 2 puzzles, so that's a little meh, but they were alright. All right. Okay. I've been Player One, and I'll see you next time when we continue through the hospital. Alright. Bye-bye.